up, CLG gang, and welcome to another Q&A about healing. This is the second part. If you did not see the first part, go ahead and click on the link below to see the first part. And I hope you guys enjoy the first part, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy this last part. It's really good. The closer we got to the end, the better it got. So let's get to it.
And Jolanda kind of answered this question, but is there anything that God is healing you from, like right now, that you're like going through a process of healing?
I would say my process now is learning to be loved. I've always been the lover and just I'm always the giving one, always there for everybody, but there's really nobody there for me. And the few people that I do have in my life, I don't let them love me. So I'm learning to be loved, if that makes sense. So that's my process now.
I know for me, in the past year or so, I'd say 2 years, past year, I've experienced a level of aggression in relationships or hostility where for some people that's normal to joke, and I don't know. I don't even want to just leave it on joking, but just some of it is playful and joking, people want to roast all the time. Some of it is people being emotionally unavailable in relationships, in church settings even. Not taking, if I come to you with the issue, them not really praying about it, but kind of just saying, you'll be fine, you'll get through it, which I will, but give me some type of spiritual support, pray with me, type of thing. And so now it gets hard for me to receive people being nice to me sometimes, or want to go and be a part of community, because I feel for the longest I've just been figuring it out by myself, and I'm just having to be my own support and stuff. And so even Chassie would say, she'll say something to me sometime. I'm like, what you mean by that? What you trying to say? And she's like, I'm not trying to say nothing, I'm just saying what I'm saying. I'll be thinking she's trying to fight me, or she's trying to come at me. But she just having pure heart, pure intentions. But I've been battered emotionally. So I'm I don't know how to let people be nice to me. So I'm kind of Tavon right now a little bit, but it's getting better. God is healing me, right? Okay.
I think right now for me, God is healing my back kind of. So but I think in this process of healing, he's also teaching me something. So I started back working out, and at first I was working out to look good, but that should not be the sole motivation of working out. So I feel that's one why my back hurts, because I'm trying to do too much. But then through that pain and through that injury, God was really just connecting the dots between my faith and my fitness, and helping me to see that the reason my back was hurting was because my core was weak, my abs were weak. So if my abs would have been stronger, that is automatic protection for my back. But he's just been drawing all these crazy things, but it's every time I feel that pain in my lower back, I think were my abs engaged in whatever I was just doing, and it's no. So it's in my faith, the line that God is drawing is that my strength is my spiritual disciplines, all the things that he would have me to do. And when my core, my faith is weak, it's harder for me to do those things. I'm not able to perform and do the things that he's calling me to do because I'm limited by my faith. So every time that I feel that pain, and he's healing me, so it's less and less, I'm learning this lesson, right? My faith has increased. He literally took me through a whole devotion on faith. But it's just a reminder that if I want to be able to do everything that he's calling me to do, it all starts with a strong core. My faith has to be tight. So I think that's a physical healing, but it's also the spiritual process of development that he's taking me on. So it's like I'm not fighting the process. I'm not trying to avoid it. I am trying to learn everything that I can from it. And yeah, the pain is not what it used to be, because yeah, it used to be rough. Like I used to be able to not even like move or bend certain ways, but now I can do almost everything. But I just have to make sure that I keep that focus right and keep my faith and my abs tight.
Yolanda, Brizia, Chastity. While Chastity is thinking, I know right now God is healing me mentally. I deal with bipolar depression, and I tend to go up and down. Like I'll have these little spikes where I'm really, really good, and then next thing you know, I'm like, I don't even want to be here no more. And what I'm learning is again, healing isn't instant. And each time I go through it, I get a little bit stronger. It lasts a little bit short, like the depression will be a little bit shorter. And I find myself, I feel like my depression and anxiety is more of I feel like it's, because I feel like in the Christian community, if you admit that you have something, it's like, you don't believe, you don't have faith. But I feel like that's the thing that keeps me closest to God, because with it, I literally need to go to him to help me through that. And then every time it builds up my faith, because even though I may not be having like a good day, I know that like now I know that if I pray like God keep me, he'll keep me. So it used to be where I'll have a really bad spike of depression and then I won't get my any of my work done, or I'm not able to like function. But now when I find myself in that place, I'll cry and then I'll just get up and try again. Or I'll just continue to like God help me do this work even though I can't concentrate. And I find myself being kept in those moments where I feel like I'm not strong enough. And I feel like I said, each time I go through one of those situations, I get stronger. And I get to it like it used to last for like 2 weeks, and now it's like a kind of like a 3-day type of thing. And I realized that God is constantly healing me and letting me learn myself and letting me learn my triggers through going through this. And it's actually building up my faith also.
So yeah, I just want to encourage you, because that's something I got healed from, is anxiety and depression. And they are best friends and they feed each other and they will eat you alive if you don't snap them out. But you're on your way, because I remember, but you're on your way. I just want to encourage you.
I definitely believe one day that like I won't have to deal with it anymore. I used to think that like it'll be something that I'll always have to deal with. But as I continue to read and seek him, like it says, who the Son sets free is free indeed. Like, and then like when I go through those moments, I remind like, you don't have any control over me. Like, yes, yes, you're attacking me, and yes, you might be doing these things to me like right now. But as long as I just keep my faith in God, he's going to keep me regardless. So like, I feel like with that mindset, like eventually it'll just be a testimony.
It will. Don't sell yourself short. Your healing is coming.
Right now I'm going through the process of healing, and I'm learning myself. I'm learning so much about myself, because every time it happens, I learn something. I think I heal in another area. So like not too long ago, I learned that I deal with, what is it called? Abandonment issues. Like I get depressed because I feel abandoned. And if I didn't get depressed, I wouldn't know that like I get sad because sometimes I feel abandoned. And like, so now I know a trigger. Every time I go through it, I find another thing that hinders me mentally. And then I work on that thing. I find my triggers. Like one of my teachers like didn't call on my name one day, and I was just so hurt. And it sounds so silly, but I was so hurt. But because I've like realized that like that's one of my triggers, I can fight the enemy up here where he tries to fight me at. And I'm like, that's not true, Talia. Your teacher still likes you. Like, he doesn't dislike you. Like, I'm able to
take the thought captive is what you're able to do.
That I'm just able to realize that like some of those thoughts aren't in mine necessarily. They're thoughts that the enemy puts in my head to make me have anxiety and depression. And now once I really defeat this, now I'm going to be able to help other people who go through it. And that's really it. I got really hyped. I'm sorry. Let me calm down. Let me calm down just a little bit. Chastity, did you have a story that you wanted to tell, or no, you good?
Don't. 2 seconds.
All right. Okay. Well, why you still thinking? I also wanted to talk about what Daquan was talking about, like when we're going through a process of healing, and sometimes it's a process. I feel like sometimes other people are like, pray about it. Daquan was talking about one time he was going through stuff, and I feel like we can help in the process of healing by allowing people to process their emotions. I feel like we hinder that process when we're automatically like, believe in faith and it'll go away, instead of sitting with that person in that process and helping them process through whatever they're going through. And I feel like we, as church people, can hinder other people's healings by just thinking that everything is just automatically gonna go away when it's not. And I just wanted to know how like you guys feel about, you know, when people tell you like not to be upset or not to cry or don't be sad, or like when people just tell you to like just be better because of Jesus, just be better. Like, have you ever been through anything like that? And like, if you could, like, how would you want to be helped when you're going through those mental situations where you feel like you're kind of stuck?
Can I jump? I'm gonna jump first. I'm gonna be the first to say that irks my nerves. I hate when people say that. Like, and they be like, you know, like, just because I'm the strong friend, that don't mean I don't need some encouragement. I help you, tell me something other than just go pray. Come on now. I know I'm a Christian. I know to go pray. But even what happens with after I pray and I still feel the same? Then what? Which one me go? I'm gonna spend 24 hours in prayer. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it, but I can't pray that long. Me and the Lord already got that connection. I can't pray that long. He knows I'm an hour or less type of person. He know that. But that's like that really bothers me. So I think for my process would be, you know, I'll allow myself to sit in that moment. And then while I'm sitting there, I'm start thinking of, okay, Tavon, what are you going to do to advance forward past this one moment? And once I move myself out of it, then I could think, okay, you're here. Now, what you going to do to push a little bit further? Of course, prayer is always the first thing, but sometimes it's not always the first thing. And I wish Christians as a whole, especially Black Christians, would stop that, you know, just pray and get over it mentality, because it doesn't work that way. It doesn't.
And it really doesn't, and it doesn't work that way for even Jesus, because before he got on the cross to finish our salvation, he cried. He cried. He was sweating blood. He was so scared. Some people would even say he was suicidal. He did not want to do it. He knew this is what he came for. They talked about this before he got here. He was like, "Are you sure? Is there anybody else?" And he was afraid. Like, he really was afraid. David in all the Psalms was very afraid that people was going to kill him over and over again, was afraid and was sad. Like God validates our emotions. God has emotions. He gave them to us because he has them. We're made in his image. Stop trying to slide the frame. That's all I had to say.
And I actually want to piggyback on this because it just really irks me as the Black community. They think it's okay to just push emotions away. Like, no, like, do you understand? Like, will you just be like, okay, Jolanda, just gonna pray about it? No, like, I need you to sit here with me in my feelings and just cry with me. Like, what?
So maybe I'm not the best at this. I don't know. I think I have a lot of thoughts when it comes to this because I do believe that prayer can solve everything, but I think our emotions are really like they tell us something and we have to pay attention to whatever they're telling us if we want to get through them. And I think so for me growing up, I think I had a lot of my life I tried to suppress my emotions and not deal with them and ignore them, but I found that the more I address them with God. And in that moment of prayer, it's me like having to face whatever the emotion is. This is for like strong emotions. This isn't like oh, I'm a little sad today. Like, no, this is like when I can't go on until I get through this, right? So it's more of me listening and him teaching me about myself. So it's more of like, I'm sitting there, he'll probably tell me something that makes me want to cry, and I'll cry and release emotions. And then he will walk me through this journey of how to get better and how to progress. So my emotions, they tell me something that lacks in my faith. So it's like, if I'm feeling overwhelmed about something, whether it's like anger or sadness or frustration or whatever, I have to find the redirection in God and with his word. And I think like that's, if I'm feeling an emotion and if I'm taking that to someone, this is for me, that's not my first instinct. My first instinct is to pray. But if I were to take it to someone, I would want them to show me scripture that addresses the lack that my emotion reveals, if that makes sense. And if I'm sitting with someone with a strong emotion, I do try to empathize, but I'm not the person that's gonna let you stay there forever, because we're gonna move on through this. And we're going to do that by investigating the word of God and by seeing ourselves clearly so that we can see the work that needs to be done. So I don't think it's good to ignore emotions. I think we have to follow where they lead us so that we can heal and develop and grow. But I think all of that has to have God all up in it.
I definitely agree with you. Prayer is where it starts. But my problem is that's not where it ends. I feel like, yes, most definitely go to God in prayer about what you're going through, because he's literally the only person that can really help you. But I feel like a lot of times we need friends like, now, the first few chapters, because they got rebuked at the end. But we need friends like Job had, where they just sat with him for 7 days. They sat with him in sadness for 7 days. And they didn't just tell him, get over it. I feel like telling people to pray and leaving it at that is just telling somebody to get over it. Give it to God and just let it go. But like you said, you go to God and you ask him for directions, and then you go through that process. But sometimes I feel like, especially what I thought as a child, because the way I was taught, when you're sad, pray about it, let it go, and then it'll disappear. And sometimes it don't disappear, and then I'm questioning myself, like, why didn't it disappear that I just prayed for it? But I don't think we're taught to do what you do, which is, after you pray, listen and follow directions, and walk that thing out, instead of you know, I'm angry, God, I'm angry, leaving it there and just going on about your day. No, I'm angry. Then it's like, God, what do I need to do? And then sometimes he's like, you got to forgive. And then you're like, but they just made me mad. Like, why would you ask me to do that? But, you know, like, I feel like prayer isn't where it ends. Like, it's a whole process. Anyone else? Bricia?
No, I'm just listening. Oh wait, what was the question again? Because we went so far off. I didn't forgot the question.
I'm sorry. It was like when you're hurting and dealing with emotional pain, how would you want like the church or the body of the believers to like approach you about that situation? And how do you like deal with going through like emotional pain?
I agree with what everyone said. Mainly just praying. I feel like whenever I'm going through something, I try and self-isolate myself. I don't really like to be around people too much or talk to people. Which I'm like learning that like you can't just disappear off the face of the earth when there's something wrong, because that's literally how I deal with everything. But yeah, so mainly just pray that, and I delete all my social media. I get so dramatic, but
You're not the only one, sis. I don't got rebuked many times. No, you can't go nowhere.
yeah, but I agree with everything else everybody said.
Lil Chaz.
Repeat the question one more time.
So when you're going through anything emotional or you're dealing with an emotional issue, how would you like the church to approach you or help you in that process? And how do you deal with that process?
I honestly, what I'm thinking is not too much different off of what everybody else has said. As long as you like, if we pray about it and we pray about like specifically what I'm feeling or like dealing with or going through, then like that's the first step. But then like what you were saying, like it just doesn't end there. Like it's not like, sometimes it's not always the end all be all. Like there has to be steps after that to go along with it. Like, okay, we're here, but we want to be here, so like let's keep it pushing. So if like you have, I guess you said how I would want the church. Is that what you said?
What I mean by the church is like the body of believers, or like somebody, like if you're going through something, how would you want somebody to help you in that situation?
Okay, so like, yeah, going to God about it first and then being realistic, like how you were talking about not just being spiritual, like because I do believe like supernatural things can happen. Like 1 minute is this way and the next is completely different, but that's not how it always happens. So someone who's like realistic with me and it's like, okay, we know this could happen, but if it doesn't, plan B, I'm going to work with you through this and we're going to take these practical steps to get here. So kind of what everybody else was saying, you know, like prayer first, and then after that, like just accountable, genuine people who are like riding. It's like, we're going to go through this together and we're going to do the practical stuff that it takes for you to get to point B. Thanks.
Well, thank you all very, very much. That was really it. That was all the questions. I got blank for, I had an ADHD moment. I had an ADHD moment. I already thanked you guys. That's really it. That's really all. Short, simple. I will be posting soon, hopefully. I'll let all of you guys know. I'll share the link to the video. And my prayer is just that, like, people see the video and know that, like, God is still healing people. He's still helping. He's still loving. He is, everything isn't instant. And there is definitely a balance when it comes to healing. That's it, you guys. Love
Thank
you.
you so much for having me. Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
What's up, COG gang?